Los Angeles has declared a state of emergency with 6 new cases. Before I show you that story, I want to show you something that's causing a bit of panic and try and be rational about what we're seeing. Alarming video shows man 25 wearing medical mask passed out in the middle of the sidewalk in New York during the coronavirus outbreak. We can see in these photos, this guy isn't just laying down. This guy passed out wearing a mask. This is in Queens, mind you. Now, here's the thing. We don't know exactly why he passed out. Occam's razor would suggest some sort of illness because he's wearing a mask. It could be any illness. Everyone right now is going to jump to coronavirus because of the outbreak. But this is similar to what we've seen in Iran and China with people collapsing. Do not panic or freak out. It may be a confirmation bias. One of the reasons we often don't see news stories about this is because the coronavirus isn't always breaking out and freaking people out. I have witnessed people pass out in the street actually several times in my life, especially when you live in a big city. But don't ignore it. We want to take this very, very seriously, especially as LA is declaring a state of emergency. The worst thing anyone could do is panic. Do not forget that. Have a plan, have supplies, and keep calm. Otherwise, you actually make things worse for yourself and for others. But I got to say, this one freaked me out. Hey, don't look at me, man. They're reporting this. This happened in New York. This guy was collapsed in the street. It's just like what we see in Iran and in China. So yeah, kind of freaky. Take it seriously. But here's the story from Fox 5 LA. They're in San Diego. 6 new coronavirus cases and declaring a state of emergency, stressing that they were acting out of an abundance of caution and not panic. LA County officials Wednesday declared a state of emergency for the novel coronavirus as 6 new cases of the disease were revealed in the county in the last 48 hours. Appearing at a morning news conference attended by LA Department of Public Health officials, Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti and LA County Supervisors Catherine Barger and Janice Hahn. The officials said the declaration would allow greater coordination among various levels of government. On Tuesday night, hours after the County Department of Public Health announced plans for the news conference, officials with Kaiser Permanente confirmed to various media outlets that it was treating a newly diagnosed coronavirus patient in Los Angeles. If you did not see the update I did around 1 p.m., the mortality rate is almost double what they thought it was, 3.4%. I'll tell you what, man. It could be going up. I don't know. It could just be higher. It could be unreported cases. We don't know exactly, and we're trying to get a handle on what's happening. But I will say it. I said it before, and I'll say it again because not everybody watches every video I make. The people who are telling you it's just another flu are wrong. Now, it may not travel faster or more efficiently than the flu. Some reports have said yes. A recent report I saw said no. The World Health Organization is saying it's not as fast as the flu. But the mortality rate is essentially 34 times higher now. The previous number was wrong. I seriously hope you have gone out, gotten a little bit of supplies. Do not rush. Do not panic. Let's read more. Kaiser Permanente is overseeing the care of coronavirus patient who is home in self-isolation and being treated on an outpatient basis, according to a Kaiser statement. We are in touch with and monitoring the patient. No other details were released about the patient or how the person may have been exposed to the illness that has killed more than 3,100 people worldwide, mostly in China. They go on to say 93,000 people have the virus. But I also want to make sure that we point out, well, it is growing faster outside of China than in China. And as I stated before, this is an issue of testing. If we're not testing, we're not going to know. But outside of Los Angeles, I got to show you this. Coronavirus is a pandemic, reports the Daily Mail. Germany says, this is what Germany is saying, after 22% spike in cases overnight, as Poland becomes the latest country to record a case and Iraq confirms its first death. The coronavirus outbreak has turned into a global pandemic, Germany warned today, after it was hit by a spate of new infections and Poland became the latest country to report a case. Health Minister Jens Spahn said the outbreak, which has been teetering on the verge of a pandemic for weeks, has now surpassed the level of a pandemic and warned the worst was still to come. Germany reported a 22% spike in cases yesterday, taking the official toll from 196 to 240. There have been no virus deaths recorded in the country yet. The World Health Organization has so far stopped short of calling the crisis a pandemic, despite the outbreak fitting the bill. And there's a reason why I think that is. They don't want panic. Los Angeles declared a state of emergency to look at access to funds, easier, use of more efficient process in government, which can be really important in times of crisis. But they're stopping just sort of saying it's an emergency. They're saying we're just being cautious. If there is a panic, there could be concerns of running banks, stores being raided. But I got to tell you, man, the stores getting hit. It's already happening. The UN health body, which has previously described the situation as a public health emergency of international concern, defines a pandemic as an epidemic that spreads throughout the world through local transmission. As an increasing number of people who haven't been to China continue to catch the virus, it seems it is only a matter of time until World Health Organization officially declares it a pandemic. The coronavirus outbreak has so far killed more than 3,200 people and infected over 94,000 worldwide. Check out this map. There we go. Look, if you've ever played the game Plague Inc., we can see in this map, like almost every country is now being infected. These are what we know. We are not testing everybody. Not every country is testing everybody, but so far the death toll has been going up, mostly outside of China. Now China has enacted authoritarian measures. I'm not a big fan of that. We can see, a lot of photos. They say the Iraqi preacher who is suffering from underlying health issues died in hospital in the Kurdish province of Sulaymaniyah just hours after he contracted the disease. Now, how do we know it was just hours? How do we know? He had recently met with Iraqis returning from Iran, where the virus has been running rampant. Iraq has so far recorded 31 cases of the virus, one Iranian student who has since been sent home, and 30 Iraqis who had all traveled back from Iran. Iraqi authorities have closed land borders with Iran and banned the entry of foreign nationals traveling from there and other badly affected countries. Schools, universities, cinemas, cafes, and other public places in Iraq have been ordered to shut until March 7th to further contain the outbreak, but many to continue to operate normally. The outbreak has fueled public panic among Iraqis who say the war-ravaged country's healthcare system cannot handle the epidemic. This is the bigger issue around the world. You can talk about how in the United States we're going to be fine and all that, even though this is pretty serious. We probably will be fine. But what about in less developed nations, poorer nations who don't have hospital beds and can't handle this? We saw somebody in Queens pass out. Fortunately, we like it might not be the coronavirus. We don't know. Many people probably will make that assumption. But there's hospitals all over the place in New York. It's a pretty wealthy place to live. But what about places like Iraq? These people are going to get sick. They're going to transmit it. It's going to ravage their countries. Already in Iran, around 10% of their parliament was infected. They say many hospitals in Iraq are poorly equipped or in disrepair after successive waves of conflict. According to the World Health Organization, there are fewer than 10 doctors for every 10,000 people. Imagine if this reaches the same level as it did in China. Elsewhere, South Korea's surge in cases takes the country's total to 5,612. Most cases were in and around Daegu, the city at the heart of its crisis. It has meant sick people with other conditions are unable to get hospital beds in the city because they are occupied by virus sufferers. The flu-like disease has been rapidly spreading through Daegu by members of a fringe Christian group. So we know most of this stuff. I'll move on. They say the World Health Organization admitted the decline is real, dispelling rumors that China has been masking the true scale of the outbreak. I don't buy it. Sorry. I know you want to stop panic, and that's probably the right thing to say, but I'm not someone who believes in lying for the sake of, the ends justifying the means. I think we need to hope that people remain calm and make sure they're informed, because when you lie is when they stop trusting you and when they panic. When the people come out and say, don't buy masks, you know what my friends started saying to me? They're saying, don't buy masks. Quick, go buy masks, as if telling people not to do something would make them not do it. You need to be honest. And just instead of screaming, don't buy masks, say things like, they're not necessarily effective, but if you do get some, it will prevent you from spreading the disease. So keep that in mind. Just be honest about it. They say the virus is slowly petering out in the outbreak's epicenter as millions of citizens are forced to stay in their homes. Hey, really easy to contain an outbreak when you're an authoritarian dictatorship, gotta admit. Tehran's judiciary said that so Tehran released a bunch of inmates. So we know all this stuff. I'll give you one last little bit, one more update here on the coronavirus. Google cancels one of the biggest of annual events in San Francisco amid fears of the coronavirus outbreak. This is Google I/O. This is a huge event being shut down. The tech giant announced that its annual in-person I/O conference in San Francisco, its biggest event of the year, is being canceled more than 2 months before it's slated to take place. Due to concerns around the coronavirus and in accordance with health guidance from the CDC, WHO, and other health authorities, we have decided to cancel the physical Google I/O event at Shoreline Amphitheater, wrote the company in a statement. It is looking into an alternative format for the conference. The company said, yeah, I don't see that happening. This is having a serious impact on our economy. Now, the market apparently was going up really well today, but people are going to be out of work because of this. This is bad news. And it's probably one of the reasons that Donald Trump is trying to downplay it, also to prevent panic. So I can respect that. But I do think a little bit of this on both sides is political. I got to admit, mostly coming from the Democrats. But we are going to see less people working temporarily. We are going to see market slowdown, supply chain disruption. Prepare accordingly. The information earlier was wrong. The mortality rate is higher. Germany is saying it is a pandemic. We'll see how this plays out, but please stay safe. Stick around. Next segment's coming up in a couple minutes, and I will see you all shortly.